Welcome to everyone, also from myself. My name is Ioannis Kokkoris. I'm the Dean for International at CCLS, at the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, and the Director of International at CCLS. I'm joined here by a group of colleagues, and I will ask them to introduce themselves before we actually jump into the presentation of the program. Rodrigo, let me start with you, and then we can go to Garry, Leon, Ashley. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Professor Rodrigo Olivares-Caminal. I'm a professor in banking and finance law, and I've been at Queen Mary now for 10 years or more. And I am the director of the LLM in law and economics, and the co-director in the MSc in law and finance.
Hi, I am Garry Gabison. I'm a lecturer in law and economics and regulation. I have been at CCLS for a couple of years, and I teach the mandatory module for the law and economics program, so I'm very excited to have you here today.
Hello, my name is Leon Vinokur. I'm from the School of Economics and Finance. I'm your representative from the School of Economics and Finance, and I will be taking care of you from the side of economics and economics module choices in the next academic year.
And my name, very briefly, I'm School Marketing Manager for School of Economics and Finance. So today, just here to facilitate. So I'm going to take a back step now and leave you to the experts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Rodrigo, if you could please kindly share the slides. Feel free to ask questions as we go along on the chat box. We will either deal with the questions as we go on, or we can actually deal with them at the end. What I want to start with is by first congratulating all of you for being on this webinar, because being on this webinar means that you have actually received an offer for the program, and actually that's already a big first step and a big success, because we receive thousands of applications at the School of Law and the School of Economics and Finance, and you having made it through, having an offer from us actually is already a significant success, and you should all be proud. Rodrigo, if you can start the slides, I would like to talk a bit about the school and about the university. This is our School of Economics and Finance. I'm going to ask Leon in a minute just to talk about the School of Economics and Finance, and I will just focus more on the Center for Commercial Law Studies, which is one of the two departments in the School of Law where we are focusing only on postgraduate education. We are having probably the largest LLM program in the UK and Europe. We have a number of different campuses. So, for example, we have a campus in London, and beautiful. But you see here are other campuses that we have within London. So the building on the top is the Lincoln's Inn Fields, is where the LLM is administered, and is where majority of the teaching will take place. The campus you see in the middle of the slide is our Charterhouse Square campus, where we hold some of our large teaching. And then the building at the bottom of the slide is the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. So it's a library which is devoted to advanced legal studies, to the law science, and it's operated by Queen Mary in collaboration with the Institute. So it's a dedicated library, 10 minutes from Holborn Walk, where you can actually find a variety of sources. The School of Law was established in 1980, and it's, as I mentioned, it's the School of Law. It consists of the Department of Law and the Center for Commercial Law Studies. We have about 68, 70 full-time academics, and we also have a number of colleagues from the School of Economics and Finance who are contributing and are co-delivering the programs. We have a diverse nationality of students and staff. As you can probably hear from my accent, if you excuse the wind, which I'm in a very windy place, unfortunately. My accent is not British, I am Greek, and Rodrigo is from Argentina. Garry has been in the US, is French. Natural environment, both when it comes to staff, but also students. And we are a range of students from different levels of careers, recent graduates, all the way to judges, practitioners, partners in law firms, senior level associates. So you will be next to colleagues that can also offer you advice on career, not just advice on and work with you together on a module. If we can move on to the next slide, Rodrigo. Thank you. We are from the 4 academics that we are on this call. So Leon, Rodrigo, myself, Garry. Rodrigo has a law background, but is well versed into economics and finance. On the other hand, Garry has an economics and law background. I have an economics and law background, and Leon has an economics background, but it's also well versed into legal issues. So we offer a group of academics and a curriculum which is truly intertwined. It's truly combined. We do not offer just economics or just law. We will not turn you into economists or lawyers. We will turn you into experts in this area of law and economics, where the two disciplines overlap and are applicable to a wide range of different jobs, career opportunities, but also how economies, how markets, how governments are operating. All of this is law and economics. That is what we are offering you. I will stop here and I will ask Rodrigo to suggest how we move forward.
Yeah, and now will be Leon. Leon will be presenting about the School of Economics and Finance and the MSc in Law and Finance.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Ioannis. Rodrigo, would you mind uploading the slides for the MSc Law and Finance? Yes. So just the first slide on the building of a graduate center, if you don't mind.
We have the merged one. Basically, what we have is here.
Right. Okay. So just a few words about this building. So this is the new building where the School of Economics is sit. We recently moved there. The school itself is just a little bit of words about the school. So we have 45 academics with 21 visiting practitioners who offer various courses and will be able, so by studying those modules with visiting practitioners, you will be able to get exposure to the real cutting edge of practice in the field of finance. School accommodates around 1,200 students on a yearly basis, both postgraduate and undergraduate. There are various facilities that are available, which I will just briefly mention some of them that might be of interest to you, like real-time and data trading softwares, Bloomberg trading room terminals, School of Economics and Finance as well, in addition to the support that is given to you by CCLS, offer career support with CVs and covering letter applications, interview skills, etc. So now I would like to say a few words about the program itself of MSc Law and Finance. Now, the MSc Law and Finance is, in general, like any other PG program, has 180 credits in total that you will require to complete by the end of the program. What does it mean? It means essentially that you will have 75 credits that you will choose from the law discipline, which is offered by the Center of Commercial Law Studies, and 75 credits that will be chosen from the modules that are available from the School of Economics and Finance. The remaining 30 credits will be complemented by the dissertation, which you will submit towards the end of the year. The dissertation constitutes of 10,000 words in total. The dissertation itself is a really kind of inherited process or intertwined process of how the program is delivered. You will be able to get a supervision from either practitioner or an academic within the School of Economics or within the Center of Commercial Law Studies that will be able to assist you in the process of writing and submission and writing up of the dissertation itself. The MSc Law in Finance has a few specializations. So Rodrigo, if you can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So the MSc Law in Finance has a general pathway, or general specialization, which doesn't have any specific compulsory component within it besides the dissertation itself. And we also offer 3 specialized pathways in banking and finance regulation, mergers, acquisition, corporate finance law, as well as law and finance specializations. So those 3 specializations, the distinction between them and the general pathway is that we, as academics, thought that there are some components that are significant to your understanding of those specific fields. Therefore, if you are studying towards banking and financial regulation, you will still have to complete 180 credits, which will constitute a part of this program will be a compulsory, while the other part will be an elective part. The same applies for mergers and acquisition and law and finance. So this is in a nutshell the structure of MSc Law and Finance. And now I think I will give the microphone to Rodrigo to discuss the remaining programs within discipline.
Thank you very much, Leon. Garry, please feel free to chip in. We can easily do a double act. We did one not long ago where we did a joint lecture, so why don't we do a double act introducing the program? The LLM in law and economics, and to start kind of distinguishing this one from the MSc Law and Finance, is that this is a program, as its title indicates, it's an LLM, that's a master's in law. That's the main distinguishing characteristic, that this is a master's in the legal discipline, but it combines the analysis of both law and economics. In this program, basically, the aim of the program is to use theoretical and applied economic analysis to Gore. The main idea in this program is to use economic theory and apply that economic theory in the different disciplines of the law. It's not that just it needs to be linked to an area of the law that deals with, let's say, numbers or finance, which is usually you will automatically think of the capital markets or the banking sector. It can be, you can apply this economic theory to any area of the law. And then there are economic modules that are available as well, but this will be subject to a strong quantitative background. This is to make sure that you can you can cope with these modules, and this has to be approved by the School of Economics and Finance. So these modules are an add-on, but they are subject to meeting certain criteria. Garry, I don't know if you want to add anything, or I should just quickly go to the next slide, which is the structure of the program.
No, I mean, I think this is great. You know, we're going to give you all the bases, so you don't necessarily need to have any prior knowledge of law and economics, of either law or economics. We'll give you all the basis for that. So this is really for everybody, and so don't freak out if you don't remember how to do a little math. Don't freak out if you don't remember how to write. We will complement whatever knowledge base you already have.
Garry, but you said math. You are already freaking them out. Is there a lot of math in the modules?
Well, I mean, it's economics. There's going to be numbers involved, you know, to some extent, right? It's we will start from scratch, and we will go over the basics, and we will approach every concept in 3 different ways, looking at a visual, right? So we're going to look at graphs. So, you know, the kind of graphs you would see if you're watching, you know, the news like the BBC, you know, these kind of graphs that go up and down, the kind of graph that describe supply and demand. And we'll talk about numbers a little bit, and we will go through a description. So usually what I use is news articles and news articles such as what you would see in, you know, The Guardian or the New York Times, and try to use those to show you how in everyday setting we actually use law and economics, and we don't really think about it, but we do use it constantly. And so try to get you to go in that direction, and try to get you to see and understand what your brain does without you really realizing it. You do it consciously. So we will see numbers. So there's, it's called law and economics. There's always going to be some involvement of numbers, but it's nothing to be scared of. It's everything that we will provide, whatever needs to be provided, and we will go over anything that might be lacking. Well, I guess I will be going over anything.
Garry, one question. Do you need to have mathematical background? So do you need to have done any mathematics courses or any economics courses in order to be able to actually follow the quantitative aspect of what the courses will involve?
No, I would say, this year out of the program, I would say probably 70% were, lawyers, and, some of them have been practicing for 5-6 years. So they were, in their late 20s, early 30s, and they haven't touched any mathematics since high school. And so, it's been a good decade behind them. And this is the kind of thing, it's like riding a bike. It might be a little bit hard at the beginning, but it comes back very quickly. There is no need to know any economics prior to this. There is no need to know any mathematics beyond, the algebra 1 + 1 = 2 that you will hopefully have seen when you were a kid. The rest of it will come naturally, and we'll go over anything that needs to be known to succeed in the program. Some of the best students have this year, definitely the person who is the top of the class is a lawyer who had been practicing for years in her native country, and she did not have any mathematical economics background, and she just learned it and she crushed the course. So I've no doubt that it's accessible to anybody.
Thank you, Garry. So very quickly, very briefly, this is in a nutshell, the structure of the program. Law and economics, which is the program at the core, and then you have the kind of the mandatory element, same as the MSc that Vinokur explained. Here you need as well 180 credits. So you have 2 mandatory credits in law and economics, which are not optional, which is law and economics and law and economics advanced, 30 credits each, that give you 60 credits, and then a dissertation, which is a 10,000 word dissertation. These are at the 90 mandatory credits. And then the remaining 90 credits are optional, which most of the people end up electing for 3 modules in law. Sorry, 3 modules, 90 credits in law, depending if you choose 15 credit modules or 30 credit modules, that will be the number of modules. But there are either 90 credits in law, a combination between law and economics, or all credits in economics. Bear in mind that, as we mentioned before, that basically the economic modules, you need to have a quantitative background, a strong quantitative background, and that needs to be approved by SEF. And the main reason or the main rationale behind this is to make sure that we protect you, in the sense that make sure that you will be able to cope with the quantitative element of those modules. And then basically, this is something which is common to both programs. There are pre-sessionals, there are courses on critical thinking and writing. For those of you that English is not your native language, the idea of these courses is to help you walk through the year without having any difficulties. And critical thinking and writing helps you develop the familiarity that you need with the English language, to see how you can, to help you write in English, but in a critical manner. And also it helps you with the different sources, where to access the materials, where to find what you need. It helps you also prepare for written assessments. Then there will be career events. Then are some optional modules that you can take, which will not be credited. That will be kind of the possibility to take extra modules, but they will not be credited. And then what Leon mentioned before, the Qnomics and Qlegal, which are kind of legal and economic clinics that usually help new companies to develop. And what you do there is you provide, between inverted commas, professional advice, which will be supervised by an economist or a lawyer, and help mainly startups. And then what you need to bear in mind is that basically there will be tutors, lecturers, and program directors who will be here to help you and assist you throughout your course of studies. And I think that basically we have taken the first half an hour of the hour that we have been allocated. But as we said from the outset, we think that probably you can benefit more by asking questions than listening to us, because most of this information is already available online. So actually, I think that probably, I don't know if you or Ioannis, how you're going to do this. I think that actually you will probably monitor the chat box, and Ioannis will be moderating the conversation.
Yeah, that's right. I'll unmute as many people's microphones should they wish. There is one question already, and you'll see that in the Q&A. For the law and finance specialization, will there be a module involving fintech and or digitalization issues?
Okay, I will stop sharing so people can see us closer. I don't know if anybody wants to take that. I'm happy to answer that one. Okay.
I think you situation at CCLS is, Leon, I don't know if there is anything at SEF in relation to these modules.
At this stage, at SEF, there are no modules that cover fintech.
Okay, at CCLS, we have there are 3 or 4 modules covering different aspects of banking law. And there's one which focuses on fintech and financial regulation, which is a law module on, I think that it even has in the title, I think it's banking law and financial technology, which is a course run by Professor George Walker.
Brilliant, thank you. So we've had, I think that's Hannah who's just joined. She's just put in the chat, sorry, she's just joined. Has the law and finance course been discussed? Which clearly it has, but is there any sort of a quick 30-second overview for Hannah?
I can give a brief overview of MSc Law and Finance again, if this is helpful. Rodrigo?
Yeah, Leon. Basically, Hannah, I don't know if you want, basically, Leon is happy to give you an elevator pitch on the MSc in Law and Finance, or if you have specific questions. I think that probably we can even do both, Leon, if you do kind of a quick
Sure.
take
if
on
you
it.
don't mind sharing again the slides on MSc Law and Finance, I can briefly skim through those.
And just to jump in, Leon, Hannah, just to let you know, we are recording, so you will receive a recording of this webinar later.
Okay, thank you very much.
There you go, Leon.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of a structure, I don't know at which point, Hannah, you joined us. So Rodrigo was talking about LLM law and economics. So MSc Law and Finance has also a mandatory element, which is 30 credits dissertation, which is accounting basically for the 10,000 words which are submitted towards the end of the academic year. Now, the MSc Law and Finance is structured in such a way that half of the program is delivered for the law content of it, and half of the program is delivered by the economics/finance content. So this accounts for the remaining 75 credits, which you have to choose from the School of Economics and Finance, which will cover the financial aspect of the program, and the 75 credits which will you choose from Center for Commercial Law Studies, which will cover the legal aspect of the program. There are 3 main specializations of the program. Rodrigo, can you move to the next slide, please?
Of course.
Thank you. So there are 3 main specializations of the program: banking and finance, mergers acquisition, and law and finance. in addition to the general pathway. The general pathway, compared to the specializations, is that in general pathway, there are no mandatory elements besides the one element of dissertation. Whereas the other specializations, as you can see, there are mandatory elements both in law and finance that you will have to choose from in order to be qualified for this specialization. Now, in terms of overall number of credits, the number of credits for those programs is the same. It's 180 credits. It's just a question of what specific modules you choose, whether it's modules that are generally you choose from the full diet of the program, or whether you want to specialize in one of the specialist pathways, then you will be constrained a bit by taking specific modules that are instructed as a compulsory component of those pathways.
Brilliant. Thank you, Leon. No more questions in the Q&A. If anybody would just like to jump in, your mics are off mute or unmute them. Do add anything into the chat box should you wish.
Hannah, do you have any specific questions, or what Leon presented was what you were expecting, or if you have specific questions, as well as any others? I mean, Katrina, Olivia, Joanna, if you have any other questions, please, by all means.
So this is Isabel. I just have, I have a couple of questions. The first is with regards to the specializations. When you were mentioning on the law and finance and the general, what is actually the difference between the law and finance and the general pathway? Obviously, it's patent what the difference is for the other two specializations, but I just wondered for general versus law and finance.
Right. Rodrigo, feel free to jump into my explanation. So I will start explaining, and if you feel that I missed something, just feel free to join in. Now, in terms of the difference between the general and special pathways, is mainly comes down to what modules you will choose eventually for your program. Whereas for general pathway, you able to choose any module as long as the division between 75 credits and 75 credits between law and finance is maintained. Whereas when you take specialist pathway, you still have to maintain 75 and 75 distinction between law and finance modules that you choose. However, you will be constrained in what modules you can actually take, because some of the law modules and some of the finance modules would become compulsory for you to be part of those special pathways.
Isabel, just if I can add to that, there are two things here. One is career-wise, what would you like whether you want to specialize and have something to credit that you already have an expertise in a given area. That's why basically you might want to take, let's say, the specialization in mergers, acquisition, and corporate finance, which already kind of puts you towards a given path for your future. But from the academic point of view, what are the requirements? So basically, that's why I want to do this kind of twofold analysis. One is career-wise, and the other one is academic-wise. Academic-wise, that's what Leon was referring to. You have in this program a requisite of doing 75 credits in law and 75 credits in finance. If you want to do the general MSc in law and finance, you can pretty much you can cherry pick any module in law and any module in finance which are available to that program. Okay. But if you want to graduate with that program with a specialization in a given area, for example, if you have selected a module in banking law, a module in taxation, a module in human rights, you will not be able to graduate with a specialization in mergers, acquisition, and takeovers because you have not done any module in that particular area. So to graduate with a specialization, what we have done is what we have kind of narrowed the options that you have. It's like we have put you in a funnel. For example, to graduate with a specialization in this, you need to take, let's say, 2 out of these 3 or 5 modules. It's kind of like that. I don't want to give you a specific example because it depends on the specialization, but pretty much it is like that. I don't know if I have made myself clear, Isabel.
No, that's great, thank you. So it makes sense. So basically, the split between law and finance is exactly is still equal, but some of the modules are compulsory. So you would have to.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not compulsory, because as much as we can, we try to leave some degree of freedom to the student.
Okay.
In the sense that there are, for example, 3, and you need to take 2 of the 3. So basically, yes, there is still small room for maneuver, but yes, but it's pretty much what you're saying, Isabel.
Okay, thank you. If I may, I just have another question, which is, and I don't want to. I may be a special case because I'm doing this part time and I'm working at the same time. So I don't want to hog the conversation about other people. But I just wondered if you could go over what the COVID sort of preparations are, or how it might be different. My understanding is that students will be able to either go to campus in person and attend the classes, or they could do them online. And the other thing is that there will be a supplementary term, I think, in July of next year, if I'm not mistaken. So it change the structure slightly. The reason I'm asking this is because obviously I'm kind of working around my work. So I am just trying to work out, what, and obviously in some companies, in my company, for example, we haven't returned to the office yet. So I'm just wondering sort of what the options are, basically.
Ioannis, would you like to take the lead on that one?
Yes. So thank you. You are right. We have actually taken a number of different measures in order to ensure that we can actually deliver all our programs. It's very windy where I am, so I apologize for if my voice comes in and out.
No problem.
Deliver all our programs next year. So we are working towards a 3rd term. Some modules will be delivered in the 3rd term. We're in the process of identifying now which modules can be run then. We need to go through some logistical issues when it comes to timetabling the 3rd term. So there would be a 3rd term. Will it be for all programs and modules? That's still to be seen and to be determined. If this is important for your decision, if you can drop me an email, or Rodrigo or Leon, I can put you in touch. I can get an update of where we are this Friday, because we have an update meeting every Friday, and I can actually confirm next week where we stand on specific modules that may be of interest to you. You also asked what's the situation with in-person delivery. Our aim is to deliver content online and provide as much as a personal contact as we can. Depending on the program, depending on the module, this type of face-to-face contact can differ, but we are planning that we will have all content available online and with as many face-to-face interactions and activities as possible. Again, different modules will actually vary because of the size, for example. So you may have a module which is 50, 60 individuals. We cannot, at this point, at least with 1.5 meters distance, I understand it's going down to be able to fit them in most of our rooms. But if a module is smaller, we would be able to fit the group in our rooms. So we would be able to offer a better indication over the next couple of weeks in where we stand with that as well. It's a very fluid process, a developing process. We are focusing on, the government is advising us. I know I cannot give you yes or no answers, and that's what you may want at this point, but that's where we stand. And I'll be very happy to back to you on an email if you have any specific issues that you would like to send me. But also ask me to clarify anything else if you would like me to.
No, I think that's very helpful, and I completely understand that the company I work for is also in the same, everyone's in the same boat. So it's all a flux, and we don't exactly know what's happening. So it's more from the perspective of just planning, because obviously I think a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
Isabel, if I can add to that, what we are doing is we are trying to plan for all possible scenarios. The reality is that, as Jan was telling you, we do not know what the situation would be in September, October, November, and probably halfway through it might change again. So we will follow the advice of the government, and we will put, as we have done this year, students' health on the top of our priority list, students and staff as well. Having said that, the other thing that you need to bear in mind, Isabel, is that we will try to accommodate the needs of different students. I was having a conversation 2 weeks ago with a student from Latin America who reached out to me, and here in Europe we have the wave has passed, but now is when it's picking up speed in Latin America. And this person was telling me that all airports are closed until September. So he was asking me what would happen if he cannot come over. And then there will be some people that will come and they will not feel safe. So what we need to do is we need to work on all possible scenarios to make sure that those that can start in October on campus face-to-face, they can. Those that can arrive in November or December and they want to join, they can, and they have not missed. So they could have started online and then join physically. But the reality is, Isabel, we still do not fully 100% know whether face-to-face will be possible.
Okay, no, that's completely understandable. I'm just thinking in terms of planning and obviously I work in central London, so if you be going to lectures and you're there in central London, easy. If you're working from home, then it's slightly different. It's more from that perspective. But I imagine that this is something that will be discussed also for the induction week. So once things firm up and there's more clarity.
All of us have already been teaching online, and basically the feedback that we have received and the experience has been quite positive. So we are sure that we can deliver something that is up to the standard that we have on campus. So I'm very optimistic that the delivery will be the same. But the interaction will pretty much depend on students, because some students do not seem to be as participative online as they would be in class. But from our end, I think that we can deliver the same type of lecture.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Hannah, you've got quite a few questions. So rather than me reading them out, would you like to pose these questions directly?
Okay, yes, that's I can do that.
Brilliant. Go ahead. You've got the floor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I checked the program page on the QMUL website, and I realized that some of the courses are listed as not available for the upcoming session. Could you please just give like a more comprehensive list of the courses that will not be available, so that I can adjust my learning plans? And also, do you think that the school may remove more courses from the list before we resume in September?
Rodrigo, you want to answer that to the best of your knowledge, because I understand it's a developing process.
No, I'm not sure, Hannah, what you're referring to, because I can talk mainly from CCLS, from the law side part, and we are aiming to deliver as many courses as we can. The only thing which Gary or Ioannis, tell me if I'm mistaken, but I think that we are pretty much running the same modules. Probably they would, but what you need to bear in mind is that sometimes academics, every number of years, they are entitled to take sabbatical to focus on the research. So that's one of the things that might have an impact on availability of modules. And the other thing that you might see is that what we have done, and that was linked to a question that Isabel put forward before, is that now in law we have opened a third semester, which was not available there before. So you can now take courses in June, July. So some of the modules have been shifted to a different semester. So that would be from my end. I don't know, Leon, if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, so Hannah, can you please specify which programs you're referring to? I think it would be helpful.
Okay, so for example, the accounting for lawyers SOLM 234. It's stated to be not running for 2020 to 2021. And risk management in law, SOLM 236, also stated to not run for 2020-2021.
Yes, Hannah, those are two law modules, and these are some of those specific ones. The accounting for lawyers, that basically is because there are a couple of things. Within one of the other modules, we have elements of accounting that you will find that in the corporate finance module. And on top of that, at the School of Economics and Finance, Leon, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's principles of accounting, right?
Yes, there is principle of accounting, and from my understanding, it's still running. The same story applies to economic modules, as Rodrigo was saying. There is a discussion now to open a third semester and to run some of the modules during this semester, with some of the online delivery in the first semester, together with face-to-face. But again, this is a developing process, and we're still kind of trying to see how this will be done and how it will be delivered. With regards to the two modules that you mentioned, these are the law modules, and Rodrigo has already mentioned that those are the modules that will not run next academic year.
I also want to mention that accounting for lawyers is, we also run it in two formats. So we run it in a credit bearing, so taught, and then you get credit for it, and we run it on a intensive course, so meeting on 2 Saturdays. If there is a demand for it, if there is, because last year we had so many people who wanted to take the course, the credit bearing version of the course was too filled up. So we had a Saturday version of it, which was non-credit bearing, but you would have the same content. So so if there is a demand for it, like students like you who would be interested in taking it, and obviously the course, as the web page says, not running in 2021, we would give the Saturday version might still be a possibility.
Thank you, Garry. That's a very good point that I have forgotten to mention, that there's in addition to the curricula, then you have on the weekends, we run some intensive workshops on different areas, and the one that Garry mentioned is one which is very relevant, which is the one on accounting. So there's one specific these intensive workshops on a weekend touching on precisely the area that you are interested on, Hannah.
These intensive workshops for both for the LLM only, or is it for the MSc as well?
It's for anyone who is registered for a postgraduate program at CCLS. So both for both.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have another question on the course schedules. So could you kindly advise on how the courses are scheduled? Will it be possible, maybe when the campus fully opens for physical lectures, do you think it would be possible to have courses, law courses and finance courses on the same day, such that we'll have to shuttle between the Auburn, the Mile End campus and the Auburn campus on the same day? Would that be something that is possible? So I'm not familiar with London, so I don't really know the distance between these two places and how easy it would be to go from one place to the other on the same day, same school hours.
Yeah, so in the past, what we had when things were business as usual, we did have courses that are run at the same day, both at the Holborn campus, at the Holborn campus and in Mile End campus. And the student had to travel between campuses from one course to another course. This is something that we recognize, and this is something that we liaise with relevant module organizers to take this into account when students are traveling between campuses. But yes, there is this possibility.
Hannah, it really depends on your module selection. That is what will determine, but we try not to run back-to-back modules or to prevent that from happening as much as we can. And on some modules that there are more than one stream, if you have chosen one that runs back-to-back, then you will be allocated to a different stream.
Oh, okay.
But in any event, the distance between one campus and the other, from door to door, Ioannis, I know that you walk fast, but it can be 30 minutes. So basically, 5 tube stops and then a short walk. So basically, it is 20 to 30 minutes tops, depending on your pace.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I think I just have one more question, which is more general and more geared towards the tuition fees. Yes. So is Queen Mary considering giving some form of a tuition reduction or tuition grants to enable students, so that students can apply that money towards setting up IT infrastructure for the online session or the online semester rather, in September to December? Do you think it's something the school could be considering?
Yeah, I think that probably you should take that one.
I'm sorry, because I couldn't hear very well. Could you repeat the question?
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was asking if the school might be considering giving some tuition reduction or grants for students to use towards setting up IT, maybe buying computers, paying for internet to allow them access the online classes in September to December.
This is not something that I believe we have considered.
Okay.
We expect that some students may have some difficulties, and we will see how we can deal with them if there are some difficulties in relation to IT infrastructure. But it's not something that I'm aware the consideration or has been requested by a number of students, so would come under consideration. I can go back and check if there is any update on it, but it's something that I don't think it's just us. I don't know if any other school. I have not heard of other schools who will be giving discounts or grants to assist students with IT access. I'm not saying they're not, I just have not heard of any. But I can check to see if there is any change in this policy.
Yeah, I'm not aware of this development from SEF as well. So I know that Queen Mary has a grant, subsistence grants, and you can apply for those things. But I don't think this is related to COVID or internet access. But again,
I also believe.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Leon.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just I thought you had stopped. That's why I rudely interrupted you. I also, if you do stay in accommodation, in halls of accommodation, I believe internet is already included. Would be included in your price. That doesn't apply if you stay privately, of course. So that internet access would be included in your price.
I think you're talking about student accommodation on campus.
Yes, on campus, exactly. Student accommodation on campus.
And on top of that, both at SEF, at the School of Economics and Finance, and at the Center for Commercial Law Studies, there are stations where the students can work, where there are PCs for the students to work on. Hannah?
Hello, sorry, I lost my connection for a bit there, but okay, I understand what you've said, and okay.
Hannah, the last bit was basically both at the School of Economics and Finance and at the Center for Commercial Law Studies, there are working stations for the students with PCs that they can use and they can work with internet connection. And what Ioannis was saying is that Ioannis and Leon, they were saying that on-campus accommodation, there's also internet access.
In addition to that, around the entire campus as well, there are many stations that students can access the internet if they don't have access on site or on their accommodations where they live, in private accommodations, not student accommodations.
Okay, thank you. But I understand that the school is not currently open for people to come in physically. So do you think that would change by September?
there are some facilities that are already starting to open, but this is a
Okay.
very gradual and very slow process. And again, like Rodrigo was saying at the very beginning, we're following government advice on how to reopen the university fully. And I think it will take some time until all the facilities will be open.
Oh,
Hannah,
okay. Thank you
Hannah, we
very
are
much.
following government advice and health and safety advice. So it is as you know, this is a fluid situation, and this can eventually change again. But the current position is reopening of campus, and we are moving towards a full open campus.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. I think those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you. And there are no more Q&As that have come through the Q&A function. There's nothing else in the chat box.
May I just ask a question with regards to the induction weeks, whether you know when the timetable for those would be available, because I know that there are sort of pre-sessional courses in, I think, maths and law mentioned on the MSc website. So I'm just wondering if you know when the timetable would be available.
Isabel, my understanding is that that's a work in progress, and what we are working now, and this is what's taking slightly more than usually, that since we are aiming for on-campus and online delivery, we also need to factor in time differences, because there will be students from all over the world.
Yeah.
And that might have an impact on the timetabling.
Okay.
So we are working, believe me, almost 24/7 towards that, but that's kind of at the moment it's work in progress, and we are aiming to publish this ASAP for the benefit of everyone.
Okay, thank you. Do you know if it would be, when it's available, is it published on the MSc? Is it published on the main landing page for the MSc?
We don't usually put the timetable on the actual pages. This will probably be advanced to you because there will be a timetable that will be program specific. So based on the program where you are registered, you will probably receive an email informing you in due course, and to start kind of, it will be some kind of kickstart the induction process.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I have just one more question. I don't know if Isabel is done.
It's all right. Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so I promise this is the last one. So it relates to career services and just how well this will work during the online semester in September to January. So especially the Queen Mary MSc Investment Fund. I learned that the MSc Law and Finance students may be eligible to apply to join the fund. I mean, so I was wondering how that would happen, because I learned that the application process is typically done in September and it's on campus. So if the session will be, the semester will be online, how would this work? And how will career services work in general for the year, given that most of it will be done online?
So I can briefly talk about QMIF, because it's coming from the School of Economics and Finance. Now, the idea is to have an online delivery, as we said at the very beginning. There is a scope to have some face-to-face delivery when there is a possibility like that. But, you know, regardless of what sort of mode of delivery there will be, whether it will be face-to-face or online delivery, there will be still an interaction between people who are working on QMIF, and, you know, the training sessions, they will be delivered either face-to-face, or there will be online delivery, or both. So this is something that we are working on. This is something that we are striving to get, you know, to get in place by September, and we will get in place by September, of course. In terms of the career services, how this will be delivered, the career services, there is a huge variety of things that are coming under career services. It's QMIF, it's QLegal, it's QNomics, it's CV clinics, it's training sessions. There is a lot of things, so it depends which items from the career service you're referring to. But again, these kind of things, we will make sure that these are the things that will be available for students by September, whether it will be online or it will be face-to-face. It will be something that the students will be able to apply to, and there is something that the students will be able to benefit from. In terms of how it will be done, so for instance, right now we have a webinar. I guess similar platform will be used, although there's a lot of platform that QMUL is using to deliver various models, which is slightly different from Zoom. However, similar, delivery mode, if you're talking about online delivery, so this is how it will be. Or if you're talking about face-to-face, obviously we'll have to maintain social distancing there as well. But again, we will have to talk about very small groups there. Does it answer your questions, or is something unclear that I mentioned before?
No, I think you've answered most of my questions. So thank you very much, Leon.
Sure.
I think that was helpful.
Just to add a little bit to that. So for instance, QMIF is a fund that is set up within the School of Economics and Finance and is run by students, how they invest. So decisions are taking place in groups of students, and they start to think and they discuss how they invest these particular funds to increase its pot. Those discussions can be, of course, done online, like we have a discussion on this webinar like that. I mean, in the last couple of months.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions from any of our attendees?
Isabel, Katrina, Joanna, Duani, Olivia, we are here for you. Are there any questions?
No, I have answered. Sorry, I've had all my questions answered. Thank you. I may follow up on the supplementary semester just because obviously that's specific to me, so I can do that by email.
Okay, yeah, Isabel, feel free to email Ioannis on that. He will be happy to help you.
Thank you very much.
And just a reminder to everybody, a recording of this webinar will go out to you all following this session. So that will be sent out by my colleague very shortly.
Olivia, actually just one last comment, because Olivia wanted to discuss some issues regarding admission. Olivia, feel free to email me. You can Google me and you can find my email on the Queen Mary website.
Okay, that is perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, I will do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ashley, sorry, back to you.
No, that's excellent. And if there's no more parting messages, I think, we've covered all bases. As you rightly said, everybody's email on the Queen Mary website. I'll put my email address also. So if you can't find anything, then email me and I'll connect you to my colleagues here today. So are there any parting words from any of you now before we close the webinar?
From me, just a big thank you for my colleagues and all participants. And we look forward to welcoming you in September.
Thank you for your time.
And likewise.
Thank you for your time. We look forward to joining.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rodrigo, for organizing that.